Imagine you are, just scrolling through the endless mundane noise of the internet.
Right.
You're swiping past the usual barrage of content. You've got cat videos, people arguing about politics in the comments, recipe tutorials.
Maybe a couple of dance trends?
Yeah, exactly. The digital equivalent of static. But then your thumb just stops.
You hit something entirely different.
Right, you click on a video, and suddenly the whole atmosphere in your room changes. It feels less like you clicked a link and more like you just, I don't know, stumbled into a confession booth floating out in the vacuum of deep space.
That is a very evocative way to put it.
Well, you expect a standard internet apology, right? Like the kind of Notes app screenshot people post when they've messed up.
Oh, yeah. We see those all the time.
Constantly. But within 2 sentences, the register completely shifts. You aren't listening to a standard "I'm sorry" anymore.
No, not at all.
You are listening to this ancient mystical prayer being broadcast through a modern digital platform. And it's referencing the very architecture of the cosmos, the dawn of time, and like absolute unilateral submission.
What's fascinating here is the contrast. It is immediately arresting.
It really is.
You enter this space expecting the terrestrial, the everyday interpersonal drama we see constantly online, and you are immediately confronted with the celestial.
Celestial is the perfect word for it. Welcome in, everyone, to today's deep dive. We have our hands on a highly concentrated, incredibly intense piece of source material today.
There you go.
We're looking at a transcript from a short YouTube video. It was uploaded by a channel called Behold, and the video itself is titled "Message for My Empress."
And we should mention the emojis in that title, too.
Oh, right, yes. It's "Message for My Empress," followed by a white heart emoji, a globe emoji, and a key emoji.
Even that title sets a very specific tone before you hear a single word.
Yeah, you've got the white heart, which typically symbolizes, purity or spiritual love. Then the globe, implying a worldwide or even universal scale.
And the key.
Right, the key, which suggests locked doors, secrets, or maybe gaining access to something guarded.
On a purely surface level, if you were to just glance at the transcript, it appears to be a monologue.
Just a guy talking to a camera.
Exactly. It's an individual speaking out into the digital void, directly addressing a romantic partner who is presumably estranged.
But treating it as just an intense rant really does the text a disservice, doesn't it?
It absolutely does.
And that is our mission today. We are going to decode the fascinating rhetorical layers of this short text.
Because when you break it down, it really is a profound study.
It is. It's a study in how modern declarations of love are blending cosmic spirituality, earthly contrition, and rapidly shifting power dynamics.
We're going to examine exactly how the speaker uses language.
And very specific, heavily loaded language, too.
Yes, specifically to try and mend a broken bond.
Now, I have to be honest, reading this for the first time, I was hit by a massive wave of just pure, overwhelming emotion. It feels so desperate.
It is incredibly raw.
But the longer I look at the actual word choices, the more I have to ask myself something. Is this just an uncontrollable spill of romantic longing? Or is this a highly calculated, almost surgical linguistic strategy designed to, trap someone into coming back?
I lean heavily toward the latter.
Really? You think it's calculated?
I do. The text functions as a masterclass in shifting registers. The speaker moves, sometimes violently, sometimes almost imperceptibly, from the language of divine destiny.
Which feels vast and untouchable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Straight down into the grounded, gritty language of human accountability.
Yeah, the whiplash is real.
It operates less like a simple love letter and much more like a high-stakes negotiation of reality itself. They are attempting to define the universe in a way that makes their reconciliation the only logical outcome.
Now, you might be listening to this right now and just rolling your eyes. You might be thinking, this just sounds like a guy using a bunch of manipulative spiritual buzzwords to get out of the doghouse after doing something awful.
And frankly, you would be completely justified in that suspicion.
Oh, 100%. The internet is full of people weaponizing therapy speak and spiritual jargon to dodge real accountability.
It's a very common tactic.
But regardless of the speaker's true intent, let's just look at the specific architecture of how they are trying to shape this narrative.
Because examining this text offers us a really unique window.
It does. It shows us how humans articulate profound longing and regret when simply saying, "I'm sorry, please come back," feels entirely inadequate to the size of the rupture they've caused.
When the internal emotion or the external stakes feel larger than the world, You have to borrow the language of the cosmos to express them.
Okay, let's unpack this. That brings us directly to the opening gambit of this transcript.
Right.
Before any apology can be issued, before the speaker even mentions that something went wrong, they have to establish the perceived status of the person they are addressing.
They're building the stage before they perform the play.
And what a stage they build. Let me read the opening. Darling, you are a miracle, darling. You are so beautiful to me. You are both beautiful inside and out, darling. You are the Empress. You are my Empress.
We really have to talk about the repetition here first.
Yeah, the word darling is used incessantly. It's almost like a metronome.
It doesn't read like a casual term of endearment at all.
No, it reads like a hypnotic incantation, or maybe like a desperate tether. They are anchoring every massive claim to that single intimate word.
The repetition creates a rhythm that almost demands surrender from the listener. But the critical anchor of that opening is the title they assign.
Empress.
Yes. Let's dissect why that specific word is doing so much heavy lifting here. The speaker doesn't use princess.
Right, which has totally different vibes.
Exactly. Princess is a term loaded with connotations of youth, fragility, or someone waiting in a tower to be saved.
They don't even use queen.
No. And while a queen is powerful, the title often exists structurally in relation to a king.
Yeah, a queen can just be a consort.
But an empress is different. Historically, an empress rules an empire. She has unilateral sovereign authority.
By elevating the recipient to this specific title, the speaker is assigning them ultimate power in the dynamic.
It is an act of total rhetorical deference.
Okay, let's pause on that word deference because there is a massive screeching friction in the text that immediately follows that.
Yes, the pivot.
You elevate this person to a sovereign ruler, but in the exact same breath, the text says, I wish to claim our divine union. I wish to be yours. I wish to claim you as mine. I wish to claim you as mine.
It's a sudden shift.
I read this and I immediately pushed back. Repeatedly saying, I wish to claim you, undermine the autonomy of calling her an empress.
It certainly seems to on the surface.
Yeah, because suddenly it sounds like a conqueror speaking about a newly discovered territory. I wish to claim you as mine completely undermines that autonomy. You can't put a sovereign ruler in your pocket.
That is the core structural tension of the opening.
Yeah.
The word claim carries heavy, often toxic historical and cultural baggage.
Especially in romantic dynamic.
Precisely. It implies possession, territorial expansion, ownership. Viewed purely through a secular earthly lens, saying, I wish to claim you as mine, directly contradicts the independence inherent in the title of Empress.
Right. It's the linguistic equivalent of trying to plant a flag in a country that already has its own government.
It frames her as an object to be acquired.
It feels entirely possessive.
But we have to look closely at the mediating phrase between the title and the claiming.
What's that?
The speaker explicitly says, I wish to claim our divine union.
Ah, our divine union.
That single adjective shifts the entire paradigm. The speaker isn't talking about claiming a piece of property. They're talking about claiming a destiny.
Oh, wow. So claiming is used here in a spiritual sense.
Yes. In theological and spiritual vocabularies, to claim something means to accept a blessing, a calling, or a path that has already been ordained by a higher power.
Like claiming your salvation or claiming your purpose?
Exactly.
So the distinction is between claiming ownership versus claiming a mandate. It's not, I am taking ownership of you, the individual.
Yeah.
It's, I am stepping up to accept the destiny that the universe has pre-written for us.
When they frame the partnership as a divine union, they are removing it from the realm of a mere earthly agreement between two flawed humans.
They are declaring it a mandate of cosmic order.
Therefore, claiming the Empress is no longer an act of subjugation. It is the speaker submitting to the cosmic plan. They are taking ownership of their role in a prophecy.
That is a brilliant way to escape the trap of possessiveness. It's basically saying, this relationship is written in the stars, and I'm finally accepting the gravity of that.
It is very clever rhetoric.
But let's extrapolate what that actually means for the reality of the relationship. Setting up a divine union exponentially raises the stakes, doesn't it?
It does. Exponentially.
If it's just a regular earthly relationship and you break up, well, that's sad. You go to therapy, you cry, you move on.
Yes.
But if it's a divine union, walking away from it isn't just a messy breakup. It's an act of defiance against destiny itself.
It frames walking away as a cosmic tragedy.
Which puts an incredible amount of pressure on the Empress.
It creates a tremendous amount of gravity. And that gravity is exactly what the speaker requires to anchor the apology that is going to come later in the text. If the union is divine, then the recipient, the Empress, has a spiritual incentive, almost an obligation, to preserve it alongside the speaker.
It weaves their individual choices into a fabric that feels far too massive to tear just because of a mistake. Which is why I keep coming back to the idea of manipulation. You elevate the person to the highest possible status so they feel respected, but you immediately bind them to you through the language of cosmic inevitability so they feel they can't leave.
It's a very tight psychological loop.
And setting up that cosmic inevitability creates a new requirement for the text. Having established that the union is divine, the speaker now have to explain the timeline of this love.
And this is where the transcript just launches completely out of the earthly atmosphere.
Yeah, totally. Here's where it gets really interesting. Let's look at how the speaker explains the timeline, because this explains why the stakes are so high.
The scale of the narrative expands dramatically here. We move from defining what the relationship is
The divine...
to defining when the relationship is.
Mhm.
And the when is apparently always.
Always. Let's read the exact text. Darling, I have wished for you. I have wished for you. There were days where I felt like a time traveler. I felt as if I would never find you.
The time travel.
And they follow that up by claiming, I have loved you before the beginning of life, before the beginning of manifestation, before the beginning of creation. You are the first name I've ever spoken to the Holy Spirit.
The time traveler metaphor is incredibly evocative,
Yeah.
and it's worth deconstructing.
Yeah, what do you make of that?
When someone says they feel like a time traveler in the context of searching for a partner, they are expressing a profound, almost existential sense of alienation.
Right.
A time traveler is inherently displaced. They are walking around in a world, an era, a timeline where they do not truly belong.
They possess memories of things others haven't seen.
Yes, they're operating on a frequency that doesn't match their surroundings.
It's a feeling a lot of people can relate to, even if they don't use this specific cosmic vocabulary, right?
Absolutely.
Anyone who has endured a long period of intense loneliness or who has just felt chronically misunderstood in their dating life knows that exact sensation.
You look around and think,
I am stuck in the wrong century. The people around me are speaking a different emotional language.
exactly. What this speaker is asserting is, meeting you wasn't just finding a compatible partner, it was finding my correct timeline. You are the era where I finally make sense.
The Empress becomes the anchor in time. But what makes this entire section so dense is how the speaker haphazardly blends entirely different spiritual vocabularies to describe this timeline.
That is a crucial observation.
Yeah.
Notice the specific sequence they use.
Yeah, they say. Before the beginning of life, before the beginning of manifestation, before the beginning of creation.
It's a fascinating sequence.
I noticed that immediately, and it feels almost contradictory. Like, manifestation is a very modern, new age metaphysical term.
Very trendy right now.
Right? It dominates social media. It's the idea of bringing a reality into existence through focused human thought, high vibrational energy, or the law of attraction.
It places the power of creation somewhat in the hands of the individual's mind.
Exactly. But then right next to it, they use the word creation and explicitly invoke the Holy Spirit.
Which are deeply orthodox, traditional Judeo-Christian concepts where God is the sole sovereign architect of reality.
So they're putting TikTok spirituality right next to traditional church doctrine.
The blending of those terms reveals how modern internet-era spirituality operates. It is often a la carte.
A la carte. I love that.
The speaker isn't confining themselves to one dogmatic tradition. They are pulling from modern New Age metaphysics and ancient Western theology.
Throwing every possible metaphysical weight onto the scale to see what tips it.
It's an exercise in supreme rhetorical hedging. They're essentially saying, in whatever paradigm you view the universe, whether it is biological life, esoteric manifestation, or divine sovereign creation, my love for you predates it.
They are leaving no spiritual stone unturned.
None whatsoever.
And they push that theological envelope to the absolute limit. They say, you are the first name I've ever spoken to the Holy Spirit, and then me and the Holy Spirit and I, we take this divine union very seriously.
They establish a trinity.
The speaker is literally setting up a trinity within the text themselves, the Holy Spirit and the Empress. It's like they are writing a resume for their soul, and they are listing the creator of the universe as their primary professional reference.
By stating, we take this divine union very seriously, the speaker is attempting to align themselves directly with the divine will.
Right.
They are telling the Empress, it's not just me who wants this relationship to continue. The highest possible spiritual authority And I have had meetings about this, and we are on the exact same page.
Okay, I have to throw out an analogy here because this is where the strategy feels like it could spectacularly backfire.
Oh, it?
Imagine I apply for a job as a barista at a local coffee shop.
Okay.
I walk in, and instead of handing the manager a resume from my last cafe job, I hand them a letter of recommendation signed by the president of the earth.
That would be quite the flex.
Sure, it's technically impressive, but it might also make the coffee shop owner feel incredibly intimidated, suspicious, and overwhelmed. Isn't this scale almost, I don't know, too big?
What do you mean?
If you tell someone you loved them before the universe existed, does that make the actual day-to-day human relationship feel incredibly heavy?
It certainly sets a high bar.
Like, who forgets to pick up the dry cleaning in a relationship that predates the Big Bang? It's suffocating.
I see the logic in your barista analogy, but I read this strategy entirely differently.
Oh, really? How so?
The speaker isn't bringing the Holy Spirit into the text as a reference to intimidate the Empress. They are bringing the Holy Spirit as a cosmic cosigner.
A cosmic cosigner.
Think about the context of an apology. When you've deeply broken someone's trust, your own word is worthless.
That's true.
You have defaulted on the emotional loan. The speaker knows their personal promise to do better holds zero weight right now.
Because they've already proven they can break their promises.
Exactly. So they need a guarantor. They need a cosmic cosigner with infinite credit to guarantee their new promises.
Wow. That completely reframes it. They aren't trying to overwhelm her. They are trying to offer the only collateral they have left because their own earthly credibility is bankrupt. But setting up this massive cosmic timeline creates a dangerous structural trap for the speaker, doesn't it?
It does create a predicament.
If you are operating in a divine union, co-signed by the Holy Spirit, how do you explain a very earthly, ugly mistake?
You can't.
Right. You can't just float in the cosmos if the spaceship is broken. The speaker is forced into a corner by their own grandiose language, and that is why the text has to violently drop out of the cosmos and hit the dirt.
That transition is the most jarring moment in the transcript. This is the crucial earthly pivot.
We move from the abstract and the infinite to the deeply, painfully concrete.
Yes, the speaker suddenly abandons the pre-creation timeline entirely.
Let's look at the text here. It shifts to, "Darling, I know what I did was unkind. I have corrected those actions, darling. I'd wish to come home."
The tone completely changes.
And then an image of total physical submission. "Darling, I am at your feet. I am at your feet. I will do anything."
The stark contrast here provides massive emotional whiplash.
It really does.
We just went from conversing with the divine before the dawn of time to the blunt reality of, I know what I did was unkind.
Let's talk about that specific word, unkind.
It's very carefully chosen.
It is such a remarkably understated, almost muted word choice. After all that massive universal language, you'd expect them to say something like, "I ruptured the fabric of our destiny," or "I committed a grievous sin against the cosmos."
But they don't.
No, they don't. They just say, "What I did was unkind." Why use such a small word?
What do you think it implies?
Well, to me, it implies a lapse in manners, a momentary lack of grace, rather than a fundamental flaw in character or a massive betrayal.
The smallness of the word unkind is the source of its power in this context.
Oh, so.
It cuts through the grandiose rhetoric. By understating the offense, it subtly minimizes the damage while still taking ownership of it.
Well, that's so clever.
But more importantly, it grounds the monologue. It acknowledges that despite the divine union, a mundane human failure occurred.
It brings it back to reality.
Exactly. But the real psychological weight lies in the phrase that immediately follows. I have corrected those actions.
Ah, yes. Corrected. That is such a clinical, deliberate choice of verb.
It's very pragmatic.
It sounds like software debugging. I found a bug in my relationship algorithm and I have deployed a patch.
It implies a highly practical engineering approach to morality and behavior.
It's so far removed from the mystical language earlier.
It demonstrates an understanding that cosmic love and spiritual destiny aren't enough to sustain a relationship on Earth. You cannot simply pray a broken vase back together.
Right, you have to physically glue the pieces.
Saying, I have corrected those actions, is the speaker presenting their receipts. They aren't asking for patience while they work on themselves. They're reporting a completed task.
They are offering a finished product.
Precisely.
So when we juxtapose these two massive elements, the cosmic and the earthly, how do they actually function together?
They rely on each other.
It's just wild to me that in one breath, they are hanging out with the Holy Spirit before the dawn of creation, and in the next, they're basically saying, I fixed my bad habits and I just want my house keys back.
It is a juxtaposition, yes.
Does the cosmic language actually serve as a psychological buffer to soften the blow of whatever unkind thing they did?
I believe that is the exact architectural purpose of the text. The cosmic language provides the vast container necessary to hold the earthly mistake without the container breaking.
A container.
Let me offer a metaphor. If a relationship is small, an unkind action can completely destroy it. It's a bomb going off in a small room.
Yeah, totally devastating.
But if the speaker can convince the Empress that the relationship is as vast as the universe itself, then an unkind action is just a meteor striking a very large planet.
Oh, wow.
It causes a crater, it does real damage, but it doesn't destroy the world. The planet survives.
It's a crater, but the world keeps spinning. That perfectly illustrates how the rhetoric is functioning here.
The scale absorbs the shock.
But to ensure that planet survives, to ensure the Empress doesn't walk away from the crater, the speaker has to fundamentally alter their posture.
They do.
And we see that shift in the physical imagery they deploy next. Darling, I am at your feet. I am at your feet. I will do anything.
This specific phrase completely resolves the tension we debated in the first section regarding the word claiming.
Yes. The conqueror we worried about earlier is completely gone.
The individual who wanted to claim the Empress, who spoke with the towering authority of divine right, is now fully prostrating themselves.
It's a complete 180.
To be at someone's feet is the universal historical posture of total submission. It is an acknowledgement of absolute vulnerability.
It is the posture of a subject before a sovereign.
The power dynamic, which seemed dangerously ambiguous when they used the word claim, is now crystal clear. The Empress is firmly seated on the throne. The speaker is on the floor, awaiting judgment.
It's the ultimate proof that the divine union they spoke of wasn't about dominating her or absorbing her identity. It was ultimately about serving her, which leads us into the final and I think the most fascinating phase of this transcript. Because once the grand apology is issued and the total submission is offered, the speaker has to outline their vision for what the future actually looks like.
If they're allowed to return.
Right. If they are allowed to come home, let's look at this modern partnership aspect.
We move out of the pre-creation past the recent mistakes, and into the practical blueprint for tomorrow.
The speaker shifts gears entirely, saying, Darling, I know your value. I know your value. I wish to grow with you. I wish to create a new beginning with you. I wish to build with you. I understand you have things that you're building alone. I wish to join. I wish to help. I wish to be your helper.
The rhetorical agility here is remarkable.
It's dizzying.
We've navigated the archaic language of majesty, the infinite language of the cosmos, the blunt language of contrition, and now
we enter the very modern, grounded language of healthy partnership.
exactly. Phrases like know your value, grow with you, and create a new beginning sound like they were lifted directly from a modern couples therapy workbook.
They really do. It feels incredibly mature compared to the sweeping melodrama of the opening.
It's a totally different vocabulary.
Create a new beginning is a crucial phrase. It acknowledges that the old dynamic, the one where the unkind action occurred, is dead. It has to stay dead.
Yes.
They aren't trying to rewind the clock. They are trying to start a completely new timeline. But the part of this text that absolutely stops me in my tracks, the line that requires the deepest analysis is this. I understand you have things that you are building alone.
I agree completely. From a psychological standpoint, that is the most profound revelation in the entire monologue.
It stops me because it feels like a total surrender of ego, which is usually the driving force behind these kinds of grand romantic gestures.
That's true.
In most soulmate texts, the ultimate goal is enmeshment. It's the classic you complete me trope, where two people melt into one single entity and find their entire meaning in each other.
A fusion of identities.
But here, they're explicitly validating her life without them. So I have to ask, expert, do you see this as a healthy psychological breakthrough? Or is it just the ultimate desperate negotiation tactic from someone who knows they have no leverage left?
It functions as both. But let's look at why it's so effective. It demonstrates a profound respect for the recipient's independence, a respect that is almost universally missing in spiritually charged, manic, romantic monologues.
It's usually very suffocating.
Often, the language of divine destiny is used to erase boundaries. But here, despite the speaker's desperate desire for union, they recognize that the Empress has an identity, an empire, and goals entirely outside of their relationship.
Things you were building alone.
The speaker's acknowledging that her life does not pause in his absence.
Sure.
Her empire exists independently of his presence within it.
It's a massive evolution of the speaker's stated role.
It is.
They begin the text as a cosmic time traveler wandering the ages, seeking a divine union that predates creation itself. But by the end of the text, they have shrunk their ambition down to simply wishing to be your helper.
It's an incredible contraction of the ego.
It feels like the ultimate proof that the speaker truly understands the Empress dynamic they established in the very first breath. They aren't trying to build a castle for her.
No.
They aren't trying to rescue her and lock her in a tower that they own. Instead, they're asking for permission to carry the bricks for the castle she is already building.
That is the perfect distinction. A helper does not direct the project. A helper supports the vision of the architect.
Right.
By explicitly stating, "I wish to be your helper," they are voluntarily taking the secondary supporting role in her life's work. They are saying, "Your solitary ambitions are just as sacred as our divine union, and I want to support both."
It subverts traditional romantic expectations.
It is a breathtaking synthesis of intense, mystical romantic devotion and profound, grounded respect for individual autonomy.
It really takes the text from being just a dramatic, emotionally overwhelming plea and transforms it into a genuinely mature proposition for a sustainable partnership.
They've covered every conceivable base.
They have. They've given the romance the highest possible stakes with the cosmic language, making it feel important.
Yes.
They've taken earthly, clinical accountability for their mistakes, proving they understand reality.
And they've offered a future based on service and respect for her independence, ensuring she doesn't feel trapped. It is a meticulously constructed argument for reconciliation. Whether it stems from pure, genuine devotion or calculated manipulation, it bridges the spiritual and the practical with incredible linguistic agility.
So let's pull all of these threads together. What are the key takeaways for you listening today?
There's a lot to digest.
We've just explored a remarkably dense text that acts as a bridge between the heavens and the earth. We traced a narrative arc that started by elevating a partner to the ultimate sovereign status of an empress.
An absolute ruler.
We watched the speaker establish a cosmic pre-creation timeline of love, throwing manifestation and the Holy Spirit onto the scale to show the immense gravity of the bond.
Setting up the cosmic cosigner.
Then, we witnessed the violent crash back down to reality, taking earthly accountability for unkind actions and presenting corrected behavior like a patched piece of software.
Grounding it in the mundane.
And finally, we saw the culmination of this journey. The shift from conqueror to helper, offering a submissive, supportive partnership that deeply respects the partner's autonomous life.
And why this specific deep dive matters to you is because it showcases the ultimate linguistic toolkit for communicating deep devotion mixed with profound remorse.
The ultimate toolkit.
It proves that humans often need multiple, conflicting vocabularies to fully express the complexity of love and failure. We need the grandiosity of destiny and the cosmos to express how massive the feeling of loss is.
But we absolutely require the grounded reality of behavioral change to make the relationship actually function in the real world.
It is the blending of these two realms, the mystical and the mundane, that makes communication effective when everything is on the line.
You can't just promise them the stars, you have to promise to help them build their house on Earth too.
That's beautifully said.
And as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a final lingering thought to mull over. Something that builds on everything we've debated today, but looks at the concept of cosmic love from a slightly different angle.
I'm curious.
When we use the language of destiny, manifestation, and divine union to describe our romantic partners, are we secretly setting an impossible standard for a relationship to survive?
That's a dangerous trap.
Think about the trap we discussed earlier. If an earthly human mistake is made inside a divine union, is it harder to forgive? Because the expectations were celestial, meaning the betrayal doesn't just feel like a bad Tuesday. It feels like a betrayal of God and the universe itself.
It amplifies the pain of the mistake.
Exactly. Or is it actually easier to forgive? Because if you fundamentally believe the universe ultimately wants you together and the Holy Spirit has co-signed the union, then this mistake is just a small, preordained bump on a cosmic road that leads back to each other anyway.
That is a profound paradox to walk away with. Does the weight of destiny crush the human components, or does it serve as the gravity that holds them together when they threaten to drift apart?
It's a question of whether framing love as destiny makes us more fragile or more resilient when the inevitable earthly mistakes occur.
It really makes you rethink the way we talk about our own relationships.
Something to think about the next time you are scrolling through the mundane noise of the internet and you stumble upon a digital confession booth. You never quite know if you're going to find a standard apology or a manuscript written in the language of the stars. Keep diving deep.